I brought this segue in because Mikell recently talked to a panel of women, right?
Yeah, it was a women's retreat. But actually, and I told them at the end of the retreat, I was really jealous that men we don't do this, or we've tried to do it and it fails. And let me tell you something. Our women are really excellent because the suggestion that came out of it, which I don't know why we didn't think of this, or why I didn't think of this, is a father-son retreat. So instead of it just being a men's retreat, let it be a father-son. So it'd be something that, we can have things that are definitely tied to our relationship with our children, our sons, and also show our sons how to engage conflict resolution and coping skills into the daily life versus, you know what I mean? Because it's like kids learn by example. And if they see their father getting help, maybe that'll be something that'll incline them to want to seek it too when they need it, instead of feeling like they have to do it on their own. So, I definitely had to give them kudos and compliment for putting it together. It was well put together. It wasn't like a large group. It was like maybe 16 ladies, and the age ranged from I think mid-30s to in their 60s. And these were all, for the most part, single. So 80% of the group were single.
Single from 30 to 60? And hold on, so you were the male representative?
Well, I wasn't just a male representative.
Okay.
Also the therapist in the room. So, I was kind of the person that they kind of wanted to bounce their experiences off of to get a male experience, male perspective, male perspective on. And I tried to get some other single Black males to go along with me, but that was dead in the water. Nobody wanted to be in a room with these women answering questions about, being a man in a relationship, committed or otherwise. So I just leaned forward and went, and I was the brave guy in the room. And
okay, before you even get into the room, how was there a little level of disappointment that the guys didn't want to engage in that manner?
No, not at all. Okay, I had zero expectation that I was gonna get somebody. Like I did my part, but I never believed that I was gonna get it.
I mean, it was random too. It's not like that.
I said I was gonna do it.
Okay.
And I did it. I was a man of my word. Okay. When they asked me to do it, I already knew that shit was dead in the water. But come on.
Okay. So let's talk about we'll talk about what we can talk about. I'm not sure what all took place, but I'm interested to see like what perspectives were brought up, what topics were brought up, what struggles some of these women are having with, I guess relationships and just interactions.
I think so. I did do a quick poll, and shout out to the ladies from the Elevate Retreat. I told them about the podcast, so they may actually catch this episode.
Okay.
But I kind of polled the group to find out what topics could be generalized, I guess is a better perspective on, or better way to say it. And initially it was men are inconsistent. What's up with the inconsistencies? And then we dove a little deeper, and then we got some women that their pain point was dishonesty. And what ended up happening is it was a lot of psychoeducation about development, from birth. Like I literally brought out the psychology book, Lifespan Development. I was like, from age 0 to 2.
Oh man.
If the child doesn't have this type of physical contact, you're going to have a child that has a difficulty associating and connecting with people. All right. So let's keep that in mind. Like I was able to kind of shape the human being that they would see as an adult and the experiences that they would have as an adult based on their childhood experiences.
Okay.
And that obviously not struck a nerve, but it was something that was really for their own personal experience, because as I was describing it, it looked like I was describing, their reaction I felt like I'm describing you. And they were like, oh my God, this happened to me at this age. And I was like, everything's in a book. It's not that they're unique, And I said, so ultimately you're going to have a space where you're talking to a man that's just as flawed and traumatized as you are. And for us, performance is a major thing. So you may say you want this in a man. So we're creating a to-do list based on the things you say you want in a man. Whether we're capable of achieving those things, that's not even a conversation.
That's not a part of the way you think. We're not
right,
wired in that way. It's
at
like
all. I was like, we solve problems. Oh, she need a house. She need it. I'm gonna get this money. I'm gonna get it, whatever, however you get it. And we'll justify what we're doing for the sake of our family. Right, wrong, it doesn't matter. We got that thing checked off on the list. And that's all we're looking for. And I said, in a society that pretty much gives us scraps to survive off of, it looks different ways. That man does not want to disappoint you. So he's going to be dishonest. Period. He doesn't want it. Some people say it's ego. Sometimes it is. But ultimately, men don't know what to do with tears. You know, we hate to see women cry. It triggers for us. So I'd rather just tell you something and move the goalpost down the field a little bit, or kick the rock down the street a little bit, and hopefully I can figure that shit out. And ironically, I was just kind of talking off the hip about it, but it resonated with their experience. So at that point, it wasn't just me being a man that made me a subject matter expert. I was actually able to kind of describe their experience, even though I haven't interviewed any of them.
Okay.
And so
what was that like for them? So, I mean, you're giving them this, introspective, deep, underlying, rooted kind of experience. And I know there's some in there that was just like, nah, fuck this. There's a liar in there. Like,
well, no, actually, they were
really,
bruh. They were very open-minded. They were taking notes, bruh. Like, I saw so many notebooks open, and remind you, this was a retreat. So they've been doing exercises.
So they've been working on self kind of anyway. So they're not in the combative mode. Okay, so I got to switch my thinking.
I walked in that. Well, see, that's the thing. I thought I was walking in there. When I walked in, I looked to the left. I saw a bar, and it had all the drinks the ladies like. You understand? And so, but when I looked on the wall, they had these worksheets that had aha, and this was their aha moments. These are moments that kind of resonate for them, and they were like, "Oh shit, I never thought of that." This is a epiphany, if you will, and there was a whole bunch of sticky notes up there, aha moments. So they were definitely looking for the gems. They were definitely looking for the moments that they said, "Damn, ooh, I ain't think about that." That's some deep shit. I gotta take that with me. But at the same time, like I said, I was saying a lot of shit that resonated with them personally, because even though I was there to represent a man in the scope of what they were trying to do, I felt like I was representing humanity. So I spoke about the things that were more alike between men and women than different. Gotcha. And I only added the quote unquote different things when it came down to, us being solution-based versus women being more cognitive in their approach to stuff. Like, they're more thoughtful in how they solve problems. We pretty much just come up with, we on that rig, like we finna sit up and figure the thing
out. We gonna jam that right. Whatever we gotta do.
duct tape everything.
Yeah. Like, shit, now you can goddamn use your mirror, okay?
Right.
Back, we'll figure it out, make it look prettier, but we're gonna wrap this duct tape around this mirror so that you can get where you gotta go. Bring your ass back.
Exactly. So that's what ended up happening, but I didn't have a presentation. I was expecting to get a lot of questions, and what I found was there were more testimonies and more that kind of feedback. I love the fact that they had feedback across the room, because they had been building a relationship in the retreat anyway. So they were like, "Oh, girl, remember you said this the other day?" And da 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 da.
Oh, that sounds so dope, bro. That sounds. Bro,
that shit was fire, bro. Like, I was sitting there just like, "Oh, this I'm jealous as hell."
No, bro. No, that sounds dope as fuck, bro. So okay, So you're coming through, you're breaking it down, and I think that these women that you're talking to, they're women that desire to be in a relationship. So it's not like, or some of them are. I don't know what the dynamic is like.
Some of them were married, and they brought to the table their whether you want to call it understanding or misunderstanding of their husband. They also brought some of their experiences with their husband. Because like there was one young lady, she spoke about, I was talking about different types of therapists. So I was talking about there's a psychotherapy, sit down and talk. Then there's client-centered therapy at Larry and stuff. And then we talked about CBT, and I talked about DBT. And part of that talking about it was, explaining how they're different, like functionally. So I use the example of exposure therapy and CBT, where if you're afraid of
spell that out for us. I'm not a CBT.
I'm sorry, my bad. CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you for that.
Yeah, DBT is dialectical behavioral therapy.
Okay.
And the difference between the two is cognitive behavioral therapy is more about literally taking steps. So if you're afraid of a dog, I would introduce puppies to our session, and not put the puppy on you because you're afraid of them, right? Any dog, but just have the puppy in the room. The next session, I'll have the puppy outside of the box, maybe, but on a leash and closer. And then, of course, toward the end of therapy, we'll do step down anxiety stuff. So it's literally behavioral.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is in about 6 to at most 8 sessions, you're holding the puppy, you're petting the puppy.
Gotcha.
And then, so when I explained it, the young lady said, that's funny you say that, because my husband and I have been together for 10 years, and we moved in together, and I had, oh God, I can't think of the dog's name. It was a cute name or whatever, but it was a Maltese was the type of dogs.
Okay.
Right. And the dog was used to being on furniture, used to being in everybody's business. And the husband did not like dogs. He absolutely couldn't stand them.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, well, I'm not going to get a divorce over a dog. So we need to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
And she's like, but now here we are 10 years later, they can't be separated.
Wow.
And so she was like, the fact that he was able to go from I hate dogs to God forbid something happened to this dog, I'm be in pieces.
Yeah.
It gave her a real life example of exposure therapy and how that works. So an epiphany moment for the women in the room was, damn, there's different types of therapists. Like, I just thought it was the same thing. I was like, no. Right. And so,
well, to speak to that, bro, and it's funny because you sent me that thing about the American Psychological Association and how they played their role in Black trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found interesting is that what you're saying, like, now we're in a space where, it's less taboo. Like, everybody I'm meeting now is talking about therapy. Everybody I'm talking to is like, should I look into therapy?
Mm-hmm.
Or people even just being introspective and just being more aware of themselves, their issues, and they can find resources more available to them. But at the same time, I think it's still important to kind of understand something as simple as that. It's like, there's different types, like, you have to understand. And I mean, I'm not saying that you're going to know what type you need off top or who you have to sit in front of, like, just by, going and looking through videos or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, I think it's important to just be aware, right? Because as you're saying, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to break down what type of therapy I mean.
Well, I mean, honestly,
and it may be a combination, to be honest with you. I've kind of, for different things, I think my therapist kind of went about things a little differently. But, that's just kind of something I've been thinking about when you were talking about it.
Well, let me say it this way. I think if you look at it there's a primary care physician perspective, right? Your primary care physician is a generalist. You walk in there and say, hey, doc, the middle of my back is hurting, but I ain't did nothing to strain it. But there's a history of kidney disease in my family. Well, you know what? we're gonna run a couple of tests, and if they show something that, you know, like you need to go, I'm gonna send you over to a urologist. And that's where it gets specialized.
Yeah.
And so what I do normally is when I do an assessment, I'm trying to get at the crux of the matter. So if you tell me, you know, I just really been struggling in my personal relationships, I can't seem to connect with anybody, you know, and then I go through biopsychosocial and I find that if you've had any traumas that have to do with relationships, i.e. rape, sexual assault, personal violence, anything like that, that technically CBT won't help.
Got you.
Because and if it does, I'm not aware of the process that's in place in behavioral therapy for that. To me, that would be somebody I would push toward talk therapy. So psychotherapist, Adlerian therapist, somebody that can help them walk through the trauma in a safe way so that they can start that healing process.
Gotcha.
Now, the answer to that, because I'm more of a behaviorist anyway, I've come to find in my own, you know, work and just kind of reflecting over what resonated with me. DBT is, or dialectical behavioral therapy, is kind of like, I always say it's kind of like the other side of the coin thoughts. So if you say, well, I felt like that motherfucker was trying to be disrespectful. Really? Is it possible they were just trying to defend themselves just like you were trying to defend yourself? You know, it's just giving the other side of the coin. Like, we tend to color our target for that conversation in a more malicious, dehumanizing way.
Yeah.
And we tend to remove the humanity from them. And I'm actually just.
And in a way, is that what you kind of brought to the table with these young ladies? Like, is that, because I know you were saying like, once you started breaking it down, they saw more alike than what's different.
Correct.
So was that well received? Is basically.
Well, it was actually that, you know, I wasn't intending on getting any clients, but I definitely did a lot of referrals to like the Counseling Brothers of Atlanta, the CBO, ATL over there, Avery them. Yeah. And so I constantly push them as a resource in our community. But that's how I know it went well, because the conversations after were, how do I get some help? Yeah. Where do I call? Who do I get in contact with? This is definitely something that needs to happen. If it didn't work, I think I just would have got a nice cinnamon roll.
That's true. Everybody would have been like, "Thank you for your attendance." You know, right. Get up out of here, man. Okay,
right. I was there an hour after I finished. Put it that way.
Okay. So now let's shift the conversation. This is just me and you talking now.
Okay. All right.
Why don't we have that?
What you mean, men? Why
men,
we don't have?
Why don't we have that? Women have it. You know what I'm saying? And I think outside of, hold on, I'm gonna preface it with something, because I think I have it, but it's always a impromptu. You get what I'm saying? It's like, hey, let's get all the guys over at fellowship, and then at some point in time, somebody may be going through some conversation breaks out, and then it gets real. You get what I'm saying, type thing.
Right.
But what you went to was something planned, something strategic, something with a purpose. You come in, there's some goals in mind. Growth is something that we're looking at getting, and you know, it's like, in time is allotted to make that happen. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and they did it. They were there for the whole weekend. They had something all day long. Honestly, the spot that they had it at really, to me, was more male oriented. Like it's a huge, like 11,000 acre farm plantation. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's huge, and it has everything from fishing, shooting, hiking, horseback riding. Like, I was like, damn, I didn't even know this place was out here. It's out in Douglasville.
Yeah. Was it a Fox Resort?
That's what Fox Hall.
Oh man, that place is amazing, man.
Yeah,
I've been there before.
I had never heard of it. Didn't even nothing.
Well, you know, I used to plan weddings, so I've been, you know, I've probably seen most venues. But yeah, that's a nice spot right there.
It was, and they knew old girl too. But I'm, you know, not to digress. What I will tell you is the same thing I told them, is that two things: we are allowed to be happy and we're allowed to be angry as men. Those are our two resonating emotions. This is how we get down. This is what is acceptable. This is what won't get admonished if you exhibit it. So our language, our emotional language for those two emotions come easy to us. But fear, sadness, hell, feeling powerful. So it's not just the sad, it's not just the quote unquote negative emotions that we don't understand or have a language for. It's the other ones. Like, we don't know how to speak empowerment in a language that we don't feel like, oh, you think you shining. You know, like when we was coming in, don't try to be no spotlight. Don't be trying to put the spotlight on you. Like, it was a story of humility, but it was definitely knocking being empowered. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's real. I mean, hell, you get a penalty in games for showboating. And really all you showing is that you just crunk.
Yeah.
Like, you just excited.
You're excited, you're confident. Yeah, you're right. And they don't like that.
They don't like that in any sport, any sport. And that's where we reside. So to tell you, hey man, we're gonna get together and we're gonna have a weekend where we promote empowerment, and we're gonna promote it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to be, all these other types of emotions that you're not familiar with, that's just not appealing. But if I tell you, hey man, let's get together and we're gonna have a weekend where we get lit, we might have some strippers come through, we might have, anything that has to do with elation.
Yeah,
that's something we're comfortable with.
We in there, man. We
there. We buying tickets to it. You dig? And I think that's, kind of the crux of it. If we had a message, that's why I was talking about maybe, the young lady gave me the idea of doing a father-son retreat, to talk about manhood and about fatherhood, and, and supporting both groups, how to be a good son, how to be a good father, and try to teach skills in that way. I think our market is interested in that.
Yeah.
As evidenced by my man that was on Breakfast Club.
Oh yeah.
I can't, his name be escaping me. Is it Jason?
It's cool. Yeah, Jason. I don't remember his last name.
Yeah, but we all know who we talking about.
Yeah, the karate guy.
Yeah, now that's becoming a little bit more commonplace, common conversation, and like you said, people are talking about therapy. It might work now, but it has to be marketed in a way that men see it solving a problem. Right now, we have a problem between us and our sons. Our sons are out here in these streets doing wild shit that we didn't teach them. Or maybe we did and didn't realize it. But
that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother conversation. And we'll get to that. I mean, I got a lot to talk about that. I mean, we'll get there. But yeah, okay. No, I get that though. I think you're right. You're saying that right now we can only get it if we are looking at solving a problem, right, versus, if we were to market it just like, hey man, come get your shit together. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's like think about it this way. It retreats, the women's retreat, they were going in. There's a young woman that shared something that she has never shared with anyone. I mean, in terms of the detail, who the perpetrator was, just in front of the women and me. And she was in tears. And so the only thing I did was try to stop them from giving her the paper towels, the napkins and stuff.
Yeah. So let it out.
But they later on asked me, they were like, why you didn't want us to give her something to get us to catch a snot? Now I said, I'm sorry. That wasn't about her. That was about you. You were not comfortable with what she was saying. You were not comfortable with her crying, her reaction to it. Maybe it triggered something in you that you're not ready to talk about. So giving someone that's crying a paper towel or anything to catch the tears and stuff, that's telling them to shut up. Because 80% of communication is body language. Here, you're crying. Oh, I'm so sorry that's happening to you. Here, take this. Do something about your face.
Stop this shit up.
You're right. Right. Fuck what you're going through.
Dry
Let's
it
just
up.
dry it up.
Yeah, let's dry it up. No,
So
damn, I
that's
didn't think about that shit.
But
No, I'm just saying because it's like your initial reaction. Just think about it, church. You know, you see people crying. Usher come in. Here goes some. But
the minister got to finish. So dry that up. We get it.
Yeah, you're right. It's not about that person. It's like really about. Damn, bro.
So for me, I tell clients when I had group sessions, we put the napkins in the middle of the floor, and if you started crying, you have to go get the paper towel.
Got you.
Because number one, that's empowering you to face what you're facing, as well as it kind of makes it still a safe space for you where you don't feel like you're imposing on other people. And that's one of the biggest things that you hear. People start crying, they be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, why are you apologizing for a natural function? Like that's what we kind of here for. And it was moments like those that I feel opened the door to, even though I was there about men, they felt like, well, shit, maybe I need some.
Yeah.
I need to talk to somebody because the stuff you described, you don't know me and you were hitting it on the head. And here I am doing a behavior that is counterproductive to what I want to have happen. I want her to feel like she has a voice.
Yeah.
And I'm doing, and so one lady was questioning what she was doing with her son. Like it kind of got to that level. And
it just kind of got, I mean, the thing about it is when you go deep, but there's not really any, there's not really a stopping point, right? You can't really reel it back in. You just have to use time, right? We just are going through when you kind of let it pass or whatever. And I mean, I just thinking about it, it's like we know so many people that we know needs. I mean, I'm just not even going to say we know. So I need sometimes to have some time set aside to work on, you know, myself, work on how I think, work on my thoughts, work on, you know, who I am as an individual, and really get, because a lot of times we just get so caught up in what we're doing every day.
Yeah.
You know, the rotation, and I like the word retreat because it's like about getting away. You know what I'm saying? Getting away from all of that. Pulling back, taking a look, understanding what's actually important. And I mean, it's good to hear because in what you said, I can hear the healing that is occurring, or even just the beginning of the healing.
Concepts of healing.
Yeah, you know, just the beginning of it, man. That's pretty good, man. Let me ask you one thing before we wrap, man. So what was the most challenging, like, you know, piece of it? Like, what was the part of it where it's just like, all right, look, this is something I wasn't prepared for outside of, you know, what you already said?
I don't know that I had that outside of just time management.
Okay.
Like I'm at this point, I'm in a place now as a therapist that I'm really comfortable with who I am as a therapist, how I present myself to the audience that I'm speaking with, the transparency that I share. Like I don't just rely on their testimonies. You know, I try to give it, I'll use an example of therapy and I'll use a personal life experience, because what that ends up doing is it allows them to know that you got to know you have skin in the game too.
Yeah.
Like it ain't gonna be just your secrets. You know what I mean? So after we did that, I think for me, the hardest thing for me was trying to make sure that each participant felt like I was working with them. Even though it's a group, I try to make eye contact and try to address everyone directly to make sure that I speak and look at each face, go around the room and make sure I connected as best as I could.
Yeah. I mean, it's only one you, it's a bunch of them, right?
It's a bunch of them. It's a bunch of spirit. It's always going to be that case because it's me, the person I'm talking to in the bags with them.
Yeah.
And they're trying to either fight those bags back or those bags are trying to fight to get out. Well, I mean, they're either fighting the bags back or trying to pull them forward. Yeah. And it's still a fight. Either way it goes.
It's a struggle both ways.
And so I think that for me, I just wish there's not enough time. That's the hardest thing. It's like, I know I had to walk out the door and leave them to their own devices and thoughts,
Yeah.
and not have a scheduled appointment next week to follow up to make sure that that's hard for me.
Yeah, it's rough. It's like a unfinished story type thing.
It is.
You know, it's like a cliffhanger. You're like, damn, like I really hope this person followed through.
Yeah, because you can't binge. You can't binge therapy.
Yeah, bro.
You can't binge watch therapy.
It's not a binge watching of therapy, man. It's a over time process, man. And I mean, and even for the ones that feel like they're good, even then it's good to have that time set aside. Because for me, therapy is my retreat. When me and my wife sit in front of our therapist, it's like a getaway. It's like we just sitting, you know, whatever.
Saying what you got to say.
Even it's been 3 months. It's like, all right, catch us up. It's like, oh man, we did this, we did that, we did this. And sometimes it's like, yo, y'all had a real interesting 3 months. You know, okay, what have you done for yourself? How did you take care of you during that 3 months? So that kind of thing. And just the idea of sitting back and thinking about that makes a world of difference, man. But I don't know, man. I'm thinking, you know, first and foremost, people that are listening, I think you guys should book Mikell. You know, if you've been thinking about, I'm just being real. I just think if you've been thinking about, you know, having somebody come in and help people understand their thoughts, their emotions, kind of help them iron things out, whether it's a retreat, whether it's a development, you know, some type of like, you know, promotional development type of activity, professional development as well, because that's a lot of that is, you know, in your head, you know, what you think, imposter syndrome, all this other stuff that goes along with that. You know, I just think that you guys should actually take some time because y'all listen to them and bring them out. You know what I'm saying? I think that that's one piece of it. Second piece of what I'm thinking, bro, is, you know, we continue to grow this platform. We got to do that, man. We got to do something like that.
Like a retreat? Yeah.
I mean, something, bro. We have to do something like that. We have to help the fellas heal in a way. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of fellas out here, because we don't have those type of platforms to actually do that sort of thing. We got to figure out a creative way of promoting it so the guys will want to take part. But I mean, I just think that we'll be a lot better for it. Because like you said, we don't get that opportunity much. And in the times that I've had that opportunity, me and you have been in the rooms before, you know what I'm saying? Where it don't start off like that, but it ends up like that. And it's like, damn, like had we known this, we would have scheduled more time, right? But like you said, it's not enough time. So we have to wrap, we got to go, we got to do this. But it's like, you know, imagine 2-3 days of doing that and being able to come back into the world with the, you know, bright new perspective. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if you're talking about getting rid of baggage, come back into your world lighter than when you left, you know what I'm saying, for a retreat, that type of thing.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean that's
what it's supposed to be.
And that's kind of, you know, when you say that, I'm like, damn, that shit's needed, bro. That shit is needed for us.
I'm gonna tell you a quote, because I feel like, and we didn't touch on it, but I feel like, you know, one of the things that's expected of us is to be entertaining men.
Yeah,
we're supposed to entertain our women or our love interest. And
when you ask women what they want in a man, what's the first thing they say? Outside of like money or
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
What'd you say?
I didn't do it on purpose. I actually told them, I said I would normally ask what's on your list. I said, but more than likely, what I've experienced is that y'all want to know what job he has, you know, what school he went to, does he have any children? And I kind of like went over, I said, but what's amazing to me, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, very rarely do I hear men or women say things about how they treat me.
And it's not high up on the list.
It's not I ain't heard it.
Some of it ain't even on the list. Yeah,
it ain't even on the list. I literally have to bring it up. I have to say, well, how about how he treats you? How about how he talks to you? How about,
if
you
he
know,
respects you, what type of
oh,
tone he takes with you, what
does
what
his
kind what kind
children
of
like him?
energy he brings into the room. You get
Right.
what I'm saying? We this is what I was thinking about this morning, bruh. And it's funny because it's like, because there's several other topics within this topic, but the one piece that I've had like on my mind is like, yo, we don't really care about each other. We don't care about ourselves, and in turn, we turn around and don't care about each other. Because something like that is like, when you're talking about a mate, that should be high up on the list.
It's top list. Top.
It's like how you treat me should be high up on the list, because I love me some me. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, but that's not the gripes. It's not the complaints. It's the other stuff. It's like, oh, there's some. I tell men all the time, there's some really good women out here that treat you well, but the stuff that they bring is not what's high up on the list for men. You know what I'm saying? And then on the other side, I'm like, yo, there's some good men out here, but the stuff that they bring is like, is not high up on the list. I've recently had to tell, one of my wife's homegirls, like, you need to spend the block on that guy. That's a good one. He don't have the money that you want. He don't have, he don't have the job that you want. But guess what? Your daddy's still calling him, because your daddy know he's a good one. It's been years. Y'all ain't been together for years. Your daddy's still calling that man. Why? Because your daddy saw him and knew this is a good one.
This is a good boy. Yeah.
But I told us, you spend the block on that one. I'm just being real with you. Because you're gonna look for somebody that make more than him, that's not gonna treat you like he treated you.
And that is something that we talked about. I was like, the higher achiever, less relationship.
Hey man, look, and not just that. What I will say is, and we're just gonna wrap on this, because if we get into another topic, but we're just gonna wrap on it. At the same, like, everybody don't come made. You know what I'm saying? Everybody don't come made. I'm in a good position right now, but I did not come made to my wife. My wife I was at my mama's house, okay, in my mama's bed. I was a hard worker. I paid bills. You know what I'm saying? She was at her mama's house, sleeping in her childhood room. I didn't have expectations of her to, be, until we was like 24, 25. It just is what it is. But we handled that. We worked through it, and we built, you can build together. It's possible.
You build a life together.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it's very possible.
You're not the same man you were this time last year.
No.
You've accomplished things that you hadn't accomplished last year. And that's one of the things I try to tell. Yeah, that's something I try to tell everybody. My wife, my children, like,
everybody.
Don't get stuck on the present report, the sit rep, situation rep, a report. You want to think about how much you have grown, if not materially, emotionally.
And I think that to wrap, bro, that's what a retreat is about. Sitting back, reflecting, resetting, unpacking, getting that out, getting lighter, and coming back, bro. And I appreciate you for the work, man, representing, the pod well, represent yourself well. You know what I'm saying? And even then, just getting people on the road to healing, because that's what this is about.
Yeah.
Being good, man, getting back, to our optimal mental health. All right. If you like this conversation and other conversations, and if you want to book Mikell, it's You Good Bro Podcast at gmail.com, You Good Bro Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, You Good Bro YG Bro Podcast on Twitter. I am Sam Duke, and I am good.
Hey, I'm Mikell. I am good.
And just like that, we are out. Take care.
Peace.